Alright, hey everybody, my name's Kefka14. I speedrun a lot of different games, but I'm going to be playing Chameleon Twist Any Percent for you guys today. Super short game, and the shortest category of the game. It's a very beginner-friendly game to jump into, but it's super optimized because it's old and short, and has, people have been running it since 2004, so let's get it started. We'll play as Linda, and there's 5 different characters, but there's no difference in the play style. They're just palette swaps. So let's go. In 3, oh, hold on. Let me make sure I got my timer ready. Okay. In 3, 2, 1, go. All right. So Chameleon Twist Any Percent essentially just means get to the final boss and beat it as fast as possible. In order to do that, we just need to beat 4 stages. We always have to beat the first stage. Then you have kind of a choice of either stage 2 or 3, which unlocks stages 4 and 5, and then you have a choice of either of those, and then you need to beat stage 6. We're going to do the shortest stages, naturally. A lot of very difficult tricks in this run. Expect me to fail some, but even with that, we'll definitely be sub 13 at the absolute highest. So I've been speedrunning this game since 2013. Oops. And more or less, the big thing with this game is the movement gimmick that you see with the tongue. It's kind of like a grappling hook, and you'll see a lot of movement in the run where I'll not only utilize it to jump like what you just saw, but I'll spin around, especially like larger sections. Okay, cool. So second try door clip. So, Door Clip was found in 2019. It skips half of this entire stage. Saves like a minute and a half on the run, which is absolutely wonderful. This is the first boss. This thing is called the Lizard King. We got a 3-shot, which kind of stinks, but not the worst. I almost hit the timer and split there just from muscle memory. So yeah, that's the first stage. It's the shortest stage, by far. This stage here is Bombland. It's my favorite stage in the game. It's pretty tricky. There's some frame-perfect tricks later in the stage, and the boss is pretty interesting. It's worth noting that we're running on the Japanese version right now, and there's not a huge difference between the Japanese and English versions other than some kind of miscellaneous extra content. But the biggest difference in terms of speedrunning can be seen in this stage, at least in my opinion. The bosses are quite a bit different, and you can kill it faster in the Japanese version. So I decided to play it a little risky, and the risk paid off. The cannonballs that just shot at me, their movements are kind of RNG. Like, they'll always shoot out, but where they go is somewhat random. And I kind of took a risk and decided to try and get a cannonball, and it paid off. Because we got a really good spawn point. Here, we're just going to take a damage boost and go on through. Cool. So that jump on that corner there, at the beginner level, that's one of the tricks that really stumps a lot of people up. That door clip I just did, fun fact, is frame perfect. Oh, I missed the jump. Excellent. This is the second marathon run in a row where I've messed up in this room. Interesting. But, yeah, that door clip was frame perfect. So that's pretty interesting. And we're going to do another one here, or try to. Nice. Very nice. Pretty good Bombland. We had a fall, which wasn't ideal, but overall, not terrible. Let's see if we can get the quick kill on the boss. And we did. Single shot. Lovely. Yeah, sub 4 coming out of Bombland. That's pretty good. I'm about 20 seconds behind my PB. Hit or miss. If I was doing serious attempts, I would have already reset, given how short the game is. Now we're moving on to the very badly named Kids Land. This is the hardest stage in the game, both casually and for speedrunning. It's hard for speedrunning because it does have some of the most difficult tricks in the game. But it's also hard for speedrunning because, unfortunately, our good old friend RNG decides to pop his head in and say hello. So, there are rooms in this stage that have moving platforms. Not this room, but it'll be a room that I come into and the platforms are already moving. Those rooms are on a global cycle. So as soon as the stage loads, those platforms begin moving in every room that has platforms of that style. As such, getting a very good run of Kids Land is pretty much dependent upon getting to those rooms at optimal times. However, we got horrible RNG today in this room, which pretty much completely destroys the chances of getting the best possible cycle. Sorry, I have been up way too long. So yeah, we are on what is now called normal cycle. There is a chance we can recover some of this lost time, but it's pretty minimal. We'll have to get really good RNG and not mess up. So far, so good. Jumping around those guys double damage lists is not the easiest thing to do. And then a tricky little spin around that. And a tricky spin over here. Well, that second spin isn't too bad. Alright, let's see what kind of RNG we get. Pretty good. We actually are probably going to be able to make up some of our lost time from getting bad RNG earlier in the stage. We're not going to be able to make up all of it. But we're able to make up some of it. If we would have gotten worse RNG there, we would have had to have wait for those platforms to realign, which obviously costs some time. Pretty interesting jump right there. Let's see if I can get this jump. Yeah. Alright, in here we gotta move fast and clean. So far, so good. This room is the beginner killer. Interesting, we got pause glitch. So I paused the game as soon as I came into this room. That actually is frame perfect. No joke, there's only a single frame to be able to do that. And the fact that I got it is quite lucky. So the reason I did what you just saw is I'm activating a glitch that we call the training room glitch. And it allows you to move during this boss cutscene. And I did a horrible job of getting the quick kill, unfortunately, which would be a reset and a serious attempt. However, if you notice, I was able to move during the cutscene that introduces the boss. And we can use that in this boss fight to actually beat the boss before it's able to do any of the attacks that you've seen. It saves quite a bit of time. That being said, even just getting 2 of the health points of the boss and then having to play the rest of the fight out normally is faster than just playing the fight out normally and not saving, even without pause glitch. So it's still worth going for sure. And we're already on the final stage. And, you know, this run is super short. Even with warts, it's just a very short, fun run to learn, for sure. I definitely recommend it for any people who want to, you know, take on speedrunning for the first time and they want something that's not too terribly long, but also has a pretty good skill ceiling and, you know, it's good for that, for sure. The beginning of this stage is pretty boring, and this is Ghost Castle, by the way. I forgot to mention what the stage was even called. But essentially, the beginning of the stage, we're just walking through corridors. There's not really a whole lot to say. This room's kind of interesting, I guess. Things start to heat up, pun intended, in this room, where we have to gather some flames. There's a couple different strategies you can take in this room. I do the mini fire strategy, which means I get quite a few flames in hopes that I can do what you're about to see. Fortunately, I took some damage, which cost me a little time, but I did hit a few platforms and will now no longer have to stand and wait to shoot them, which saves a little bit of time. With the right placement and luck and skill, I would argue, you can use a spray like a spread shot there and pretty much nail most of those candles. Although it's very difficult to do. Little window we can walk through right there. And then we have the same puzzle again, but with things wider apart. Which is, you know, riveting stuff. That placement was very bad. These platforms will always have the same distance from each other in one plane, but the distance in the other plane is random. This room here is random as well. And we got the second worst RNG, naturally. And we're rapidly approaching the end of the run. There's a really difficult trick in this room here. I'm going to attempt it twice before I move on. Failed it once. Second try. That's a very hard trick called Cuss Fault. We call it that because a runner named Custom found it and began utilizing it in his runs first. It saves quite a bit of time from doing the room normally, and it's very tricky to land on that super small piece of geometry and do that. So this is the final boss, canonically known as Pile of Books, for some weird reason. We're already on the second phase of it. The first phase went pretty good. Could have went a little bit faster, but nothing too crazy. So this phase is RNG. We'll see what happens. Ideally, we'll get a curve shot. Quick. We did not. That's okay, though. The ideal with this phase is you need to shoot him consecutively. And stop the timer a few moments late, but probably about 11:26. Great. That's Chameleon Twist. It's like I said, it's a super short run, super fun. I recommend it. Thanks everybody for having me here at Retrothon 2021, and it's been a pleasure. Even if it was just a super short run. Good luck to the rest of the runners, and good job everybody so far on the whole event. Thanks for having me.